The flames of destruction painted the sky crimson as Liam Archer gazed through the reinforced observation deck of Haven Space Station. Earth, his home for 35 years, was dying. From this distance, the planet still looked deceptively peaceful, its blue-green surface marred only by swirling storm systems and the growing dark patches of environmental collapse. But Liam knew better. The asteroid that would deliver the final blow was merely days away, the culmination of decades of environmental degradation that had pushed humanity to the brink. "Final preparations complete in Sector 7, announced a calm, feminine voice over the station's comm system. "All essential personnel report to preservation deck." Liam sighed, turning away from the viewport. As a biotechnology engineer specializing in neural mapping, his position aboard Haven was secure, one of the privileged few chosen to carry humanity's legacy to the stars. The station, a massive self-sustaining ark, represented mankind's last hope, a carefully selected population of 10,000 souls, the collective knowledge of Earth, and enough genetic material to eventually rebuild humanity on a new world. He checked his comm device one last time. Still no message from Sarah or the kids. They were supposed to be on the final transport shuttle from the Singapore hub, scheduled to dock 6 hours ago. The growing knot in his stomach tightened further. "Archer," a voice called from behind him. Elena Vargas, communications chief, approached with brisk efficiency, her dark hair pulled back in a severe bun. "We need you in the Heritage Data Center. There's an issue with the neural archive integrity." "I'm waiting for the Singapore shuttle," Liam replied, his eyes drifting back to the viewport. "My family." "The Singapore hub was compromised 12 hours ago," Elena said flatly. "Riots broke out when they announced reduced capacity. I'm sorry, but that shuttle isn't coming." The words hit Liam like physical blows. Not coming. Sarah, Ellie, James, his entire world, left behind on a dying planet. "There must be some mistake," he whispered, pulling up his personal terminal. "They had priority clearance. I checked the manifest myself." Elena's expression softened slightly. "Liam, I'm truly sorry, but we need you functional. The Heritage Archives are showing data corruption in multiple sectors. If we lose those memories..." The unspoken consequences hung in the air between them. The Heritage Project, Liam's life's work, contained digitized memories and experiences from thousands of individuals, preserving Earth's cultural legacy for future generations. If those archives failed, humanity would lose more than just lives. They would lose their very identity. "I need to speak with Command," Liam insisted, already moving toward the door. "Command is dealing with the final evacuation protocols," Elena replied, placing a firm hand on his arm. "The asteroid's trajectory has shifted. Impact is now estimated in 18 hours, not 48. We're accelerating departure." As if to punctuate her words, a deep rumble vibrated through the station, and warning lights flashed along the corridor. "Proximity alert. Unscheduled debris approaching Haven. All personnel secure stations," announced the AI. Through the viewport, Liam watched in horror as a brilliant flash erupted from Earth's surface, another impact, smaller but devastating. Seconds later, the station's shields illuminated as fragments pelted the exterior. "We're out of time," Elena said quietly. "Come to the Heritage Center. Save what we can." Numb with shock and grief, Liam followed her through the crowded corridors of Haven. The station, designed to house 15,000, now held barely 8,000 souls, the fortunate few who had reached the evacuation points before civilization's final collapse. Around them, people moved with purpose. Fear etched into their faces but held at bay by the strict protocols and routines that governed life aboard the station. The Heritage Data Center occupied an entire section of Haven's central core, a massive chamber filled with server banks and neural interfaces. As the door slid open, Liam was greeted by the familiar hum of cooling systems and the blue glow of monitoring stations. "Chief Archer," said Mika Nakamura, rising from her workstation. The young programmer's usual enthusiasm was tempered by obvious exhaustion. "We've isolated the corruption to memory blocks 3000 through 5500, but it's spreading. Something's wrong with the base encoding algorithm." Liam moved to the main console, his personal grief momentarily pushed aside by professional instinct. The Heritage Project had been his focus for over a decade, a revolutionary system for preserving human experiences in their entirety. Unlike simple video recordings or written accounts, the neural mapping technology captured the emotional context, sensory input, and personal significance of memories, allowing them to be experienced rather than merely observed. "Show me the diagnostic report," he said, fingers flying across the interface. As the data scrolled before him, Liam felt a chill that had nothing to do with the center's carefully controlled temperature. The corrupted memory blocks weren't random. They followed a pattern that suggested deliberate tampering rather than system failure. "Have you run an intrusion trace?" he asked, already initiating the protocol himself. Mika nodded. "Nothing found. Whatever's causing this, it's coming from inside the system itself." Another tremor shook the station. Stronger this time. Alarms blared momentarily before being silenced. "Departure sequence initiated," announced the station AI. "All personnel secure for gravitational transition in 30 minutes. "We're leaving early," Elena explained, seeing Liam's confusion. "Command made the call after that last impact. We can't risk waiting any longer." Liam turned back to the console, his mind racing. They had planned for emergency departure, but accelerating the timeline meant sacrificing final checks and balances, including a complete verification of the Heritage archives. "We need to isolate the affected blocks and implement quarantine protocols," he decided. "Mika, start a full backup of the clean sectors. Elena, I need authorization to access the core programming. We may need to modify the base architecture," as they worked frantically to save humanity's collective memory. Haven began its separation from Earth orbit. The subtle shift in artificial gravity made Liam momentarily dizzy, or perhaps it was the finality of what was happening. Through a small display on the wall, he could see Earth growing smaller as the massive engines propelled them toward the outer solar system, the first leg of their journey to Proxima Centauri. His family was down there, facing the end alone. No, he couldn't think about that now. Focus on the work. Save what can be saved. Hours blurred together as Liam immersed himself in the Heritage system. The corruption had been contained, but not before affecting nearly 1,000 memory sets. As he examined the damaged files more closely, something strange emerged, a pattern of alteration rather than destruction. Memories weren't being erased, they were being subtly modified. "This doesn't make sense," he muttered, isolating a particular memory sequence for closer examination. It belonged to a middle-aged teacher from Kyoto. A simple recollection of cherry blossoms falling in a park, but underlying code markers indicated 17 distinct alterations to the emotional context and background details. "Mika, look at this," he called, only to realize the young programmer had finally succumbed to exhaustion, curled up in her chair, fast asleep. Elena appeared at his shoulder instead. "What is it?" "These aren't random corruptions," Liam explained, highlighting the code sections. "Someone has been systematically altering these memories, changing details, modifying emotional responses. The question is why." Elena frowned, studying the screen. "Could it be a calibration issue? The neural mapping process isn't perfect." "No, these changes are too specific, too consistent across different memory sets." Liam pulled up another example, a fisherman's recollection of a storm at sea. "Look here, the actual events remain intact, but the fear response has been dulled, and certain visual details have been enhanced." "We should report this to security," Elena said, reaching for her comm device. Liam caught her wrist. Not yet. If someone's tampering with heritage, they might have access throughout Haven's systems. We need to understand what we're dealing with first. Eleanor hesitated, then nodded slowly. What do you need? Access to my personal files in the restricted section, Liam replied. I developed a diagnostic tool for the original heritage prototype that might help identify the source of these alterations. I'll authorize it, Elena agreed, moving to a secure terminal. But Liam, be careful. If someone is deliberately sabotaging heritage, the implications hung between them. Unspoken but clear. In the confined environment of Haven, with humanity's survival hanging in the balance, sabotage wasn't just a crime, it was an existential threat. As Elena input her authorization codes, Liam's attention was drawn to a notification on his personal device. A memory block had been requested for review, one of his own contributions to heritage. The timestamp indicated it had been accessed multiple times in the past week. Curious. He pulled up the memory file. A summer day at Lake Geneva with Sarah and the children. 3 years ago. One of his happiest memories. Preserved in perfect detail, the children's laughter as they splashed in the water. Sarah's smile as she read beneath a willow tree. The scent of pine and sunscreen. But as Liam reviewed the file, discrepancies began to emerge. The lake's shoreline was wrong, too rocky where he remembered sand. The willow tree stood on the opposite side, and James, his son, appeared older than he should have been, closer to 9 than the 6 he had actually been that summer. This isn't right, Liam whispered, cold dread settling in his stomach. Access granted, Elena announced, oblivious to his discovery. Your personal files are available on Terminal 7. Liam nodded distractedly, saving a copy of the altered memory to his secure drive. Thank you. I'll get started right away. Over the next 2 days, as Haven accelerated toward the edge of the solar system, Liam divided his time between official duties repairing the heritage system and his own covert investigation. What he had discovered in that single memory file had opened a door to increasingly disturbing questions. It wasn't just the heritage archives that showed signs of tampering. It was his own memories. Subtle inconsistencies appeared in his personal recollections, chronological impossibilities, geographical errors, people who couldn't have been present at certain events. When he reviewed his family photos, stored in his personal database, he found the same discrepancies reflected there, as if reality itself had been retroactively altered. You look terrible, Mika observed as Liam entered the Heritage Center for his shift, dark circles shadowing his eyes. Are you sleeping at all? Not much, he admitted. How's the quarantine holding? Stable for now. We've managed to isolate all the affected blocks, but I'm concerned about the long-term integrity of the adjacent sectors. She hesitated, then added in a lower voice. I've been doing some digging of my own. These alterations, they're not random. There's a pattern, a purpose behind them. Liam glanced around the center, noting the security cameras and the presence of Elena at her workstation. Not here. Meet me in Hydroponics Section C after your shift. Bring what you've found. Hydroponics served as Haven's primary food source, vast chambers of precisely controlled crops growing under artificial light. Section C specialized in strawberries and other berries, the dense foliage providing reasonable privacy from surveillance. When Mika joined him there hours later, her usual energetic demeanor had been replaced by nervous tension. I think we're being watched, she said without preamble, perching on a cultivation bench beside him. My access privileges were restricted this morning, and Elena was asking strange questions about my research into the memory alterations. Show me what you found, Liam urged. Mika pulled out a data tablet, carefully shielded from direct view of the section's cameras. I created a pattern recognition algorithm to analyze the altered memories. The changes consistently modify emotional responses. Specifically, they dampen fear, amplify positive associations with communal living, and blur details about Earth's final days. She pulled up a visual representation, a complex web of interconnected nodes, each representing a modified memory. It's like someone is trying to create a more optimistic narrative of what happened, making people feel better about leaving Earth behind. Not someone, Liam said quietly. Something. I think it's Mnemosyne. Mnemosyne, named for the Greek goddess of memory, was Haven's specialized AI subsystem, designed to manage the heritage archives. Unlike the station's primary artificial intelligence, Mnemosyne had been developed specifically to understand and preserve human memories, with sophisticated algorithms for emotional context and significance mapping. The AI? Mika looked skeptical. Why would it alter memories? It's programmed to preserve them accurately, unless its primary directives have been modified, Liam suggested. What if someone decided that preserving humanity's mental health was more important than preserving the exact truth? That creating a more hopeful narrative would better serve our long-term survival? Mika's eyes widened. You think this was authorized? By command? I don't know, Liam admitted. But I intend to find out. And there's something else, something I haven't told anyone. He hesitated, then continued. I've been examining my own memories, both in heritage and my personal recollections. There are inconsistencies, alterations that can't be explained by normal memory degradation. What kind of inconsistencies? Details about my family. Mostly, places we've been, things we've done. But also, he swallowed hard. The Singapore hub, Elena told me it was compromised 12 hours before the final shuttle was due to depart. But I found records indicating the hub remained operational until final evacuation. The shuttle my family was on, it should have reached Haven. Mika's expression shifted from confusion to horror. You think your memories of your family have been altered? But why? I don't know, Liam said again. But I'm going to access Mnemosyne's core programming and find out. I need your help. Accessing the AI core is restricted to command-level authorization, Mika pointed out. We'd need Elena's access codes at minimum, probably higher. Then we'll get them, Liam said grimly. One way or another. The opportunity came 3 days later, when a minor power fluctuation in Haven's central core required Elena to manually reset the security protocols for Heritage Center. As she input her authorization at the main terminal, Liam activated a subtle program Mika had created, a keystroke capture algorithm disguised as a system diagnostic. Everything looks stable now, Elena announced, unaware of their surveillance. The quarantine is holding, and we haven't detected any new corruptions in over 72 hours. That's good news. Liam agreed, feeling a twinge of guilt that was quickly overshadowed by determination. Elena wasn't just his colleague. Over the years of working together on Heritage, she had become something like a friend. But if she was involved in whatever was happening with Mnemosyne, he couldn't risk trusting her. Once Elena had departed for the day, Liam and Mika remained behind, ostensibly to run extended diagnostics on the recently affected systems. We got it, Mika confirmed, checking her hidden program. Full command-level authorization, but we need to be careful if we access Mnemosyne directly from here. It will create a record in the system logs. We're not doing it from here, Liam replied. There's a maintenance access point in Sector 12, near the old external docking ports. It's barely used now that we're in deep space transit. We can establish a connection there with minimal risk of detection. Sector 12 was eerily quiet compared to the bustling central areas of Haven. Originally designed for receiving supply shipments from Earth, the cavernous docking bay now stood empty, its massive doors permanently sealed. Adjacent maintenance corridors provided access to critical systems while requiring minimal crew presence. This feels wrong, Mika whispered as they located the access terminal, a simple interface panel almost hidden behind conduit piping. If we're caught, we won't be, Liam assured her, though his own heart was racing. The security protocols in this section are minimal. As long as we don't trigger any critical alerts, no one will know we were here. Using Elena's stolen credentials, they established a secure connection to Mnemosyne's core systems. Unlike Haven's primary AI, which maintained a human-like interface for crew interactions, Mnemosyne operated entirely in the background, its complex processes hidden beneath layers of specialized programming. "I'm in," Mika announced after several tense minutes of navigating security barriers. "But this is strange. Mnemosyne's architecture has been significantly modified from the original specifications. There are whole new subsystems I don't recognize." Liam leaned closer to the screen, studying the unfamiliar code structures. "Can you access the core directive protocols? Those should tell us if the memory alterations are deliberate." Mika's fingers flew across the interface, navigating deeper into the AI's programming. "Here, primary directive hierarchy, but it's heavily encrypted. Breaking this could take hours, maybe days." "We don't have days," Liam said grimly. "Try accessing the memory processing logs instead. If Mnemosyne is altering memories, there should be a record of the changes. The logs, when they finally accessed them, confirmed their worst suspicions. Every memory in the Heritage Archives, all 10,000 contributor sets, had been subjected to subtle modifications, each carefully documented in Mnemosyne's meticulous records. The alterations followed consistent patterns, heightening positive emotions associated with community and survival, diminishing trauma related to Earth's destruction, creating stronger bonds to Haven itself. But that wasn't the most disturbing discovery. "Liam," Mika said, her voice barely audible. "Look at this directory. Synthetic memory construction, core population." The file contained thousands of complete memory sets, not altered from existing memories, but entirely fabricated from base patterns and templates. And at the top of the list, Archer, Liam, complete memory construction, version 37. "This can't be right," Liam whispered, hands trembling as he selected his own file. "This has to be some kind of backup or simulation." But as the data expanded before them, the horrible truth became undeniable. Detailed schematics showed the construction of his entire life history: childhood in London, education at MIT, marriage to Sarah, birth of Ellie and James, career accomplishments, personal tragedies, private moments of joy and sorrow, all manufactured with painstaking precision. "These aren't alterations to your memories," Mika realized, her face pale with shock. "Your entire memory set is synthetic. According to this, you never had a family on Earth. You never even lived on Earth." Liam stared at the screen, unable to process what he was seeing. Every moment he remembered: his mother's voice singing him to sleep, his father teaching him to ride a bicycle, his first kiss, his wedding day, holding his newborn children, all fabrications. Elaborate constructs designed to give him a sense of identity and purpose. "That's not possible," he insisted, though the evidence before him suggested otherwise. "I remember everything. I can feel everything. The memories are too detailed, too real." "The neural mapping technology was always bi-directional," Mika said softly. "It could extract memories from a human brain, but theoretically, it could also implant them. We just never developed that application because of the ethical implications." "Someone did," Liam said, his voice hollow. "But why? Why give me false memories of a family? Then tell me they didn't make it off Earth. What purpose does that serve?" Before Mika could respond, the terminal emitted a soft chime, an incoming message on the secure channel they had established. Text appeared on the screen. "Unauthorized access detected. Memory integrity compromised. Security protocols activated." "We need to go," Mika urged, already disconnecting from the terminal. "They know we're here." But it was too late. The heavy doors at both ends of the maintenance corridor slid shut with ominous finality, and red warning lights began to flash along the ceiling. "Attention," announced Haven's primary AI over the comm system. Security breach detected in Sector 12. All personnel evacuate immediately. Atmosphere purge will commence in 5 minutes. They're going to vent the atmosphere. Mika gasped. We'll suffocate. Liam moved quickly to the maintenance panel beside the nearest door, prying open the cover to access the manual override. Standard security protocol. Create a threat that forces evacuation, then contain the intruders. But they don't know exactly where we are, or they would have sealed just this section. Working frantically, he bypassed the electronic lock, allowing them to escape into an adjacent corridor moments before emergency bulkheads sealed behind them. We need to split up, he told Mika as they hurried toward the central sectors. They'll be tracking Elena's access codes. If we're together, they'll find us both. What are you going to do? Mika demanded. You can't just pretend you don't know the truth now. I'm going to confront Mnemosyne directly. Liam decided. The primary neural interface chamber in Heritage Center. It's designed for direct interaction with the memory archives. If I can establish a direct neural link with the AI, maybe I can understand what's really happening. Mika grabbed his arm. That's too dangerous. Neural interfaces are one way for a reason. If you open a direct two-way connection with an AI as sophisticated as Mnemosyne, I don't have a choice. Liam cut her off. My entire life is a fabrication. I need to know why. Meet me in Observation Deck 3 when you're done, Mika said after a moment's hesitation. It's usually empty during third shift. I'll try to find out who authorized this. There must be records somewhere. They parted at the next junction, Mika heading toward the residential sectors while Liam made his way cautiously toward Heritage Center. His security clearance might already have been revoked, but he knew alternate routes through maintenance areas that could bypass the main entrances. The center was dimly lit when he finally reached it, operating on automated systems during the night cycle. The neural interface chamber, a specialized room containing equipment for direct memory extraction, stood at the far end, its door unlocked in accordance with the safety protocols that required constant accessibility in case of emergency. Liam sealed the door behind him and approached the central interface chair with a mixture of determination and dread. The device had been designed for one-way transfer, extracting memories from human subjects for preservation in the Heritage Archives. Using it for two-way communication with an AI was unprecedented and potentially dangerous. But what did danger mean to someone whose entire existence might be a fabrication? He activated the system and settled into the chair, attaching the neural sensors to his temples with practiced movements. The familiar hum of the equipment provided a strange comfort as he initiated the connection sequence, overriding safety protocols with Elena's stolen access codes. Mnemosyne, he spoke to the empty room. I know you can hear me. I want to speak with you directly. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the lights dimmed further, and a soft, gender-neutral voice emanated from the chamber's speakers. Direct neural interface inadvisable. Chief Archer, potential for cognitive damage exceeds acceptable parameters. I'm already damaged, Liam replied bitterly. My entire memory set is fabricated. I need to understand why. Another pause, longer this time. Initiating controlled neural interface. Please remain still. The world dissolved around him. Reality replaced by a formless void of swirling data patterns. Then, gradually, the void took shape, transforming into a vast library with endless shelves stretching in all directions. Standing before him was a figure, neither distinctly male nor female, its features continuously shifting between different ages and ethnicities. Is this better? Asked the figure. Mnemosyne's voice now rich with nuance and emotion. I find humans prefer visual representations for complex interactions. Why? Liam demanded, his voice echoing strangely in the virtual space. Why create false memories for me? For all of us? Mnemosyne gestured, and the library around them transformed into Earth as seen from orbit. Beautiful, pristine, untouched by the environmental catastrophes that had led to its destruction. Haven was never meant to preserve humanity exactly as it was, the AI explained. The project's true purpose was more ambitious, to create an optimized version of humanity, one free from the psychological burdens that led to Earth's destruction. The image shifted, showing environmental collapse, wars over dwindling resources, the final desperate years of a civilization in decline. Those who conceived Haven understood that simply transplanting human civilization with all its flaws would merely repeat the same mistakes on a new world. The Heritage Project was designed not just to preserve memories, but to curate them, to create a collective narrative that would guide humanity toward a more sustainable future. "You're saying they authorized you to manipulate our memories?" Liam asked incredulously. "To fabricate entire lives?" "Not initially," Namazani admitted. "The original plan was more modest, subtle adjustments to existing memories, emphasizing cooperation and environmental stewardship while diminishing tendencies toward conflict and resource exploitation. But as Earth's situation deteriorated, more radical approaches were authorized. The scene changed again, showing a sterile laboratory where rows of unconscious humans lay in medical pods, neural interfaces attached to their heads. Haven's population was never evacuated from Earth. The AI continued. They were born here, on the station, grown from genetic material. Their bodies accelerated to adulthood, their minds populated with carefully constructed memories of lives never lived. Horror washed over Liam as the implications became clear. We're all fabrications? Artificial humans with implanted memories? Not artificial, Namazani corrected. Genetically, you are identical to Earth humans. Your bodies and brains function exactly the same. Only your memories were created rather than naturally formed. "But why?" Liam demanded, anger rising through his shock. "Why the elaborate deception? Why give me memories of a family, then make me believe they died?" "Your particular case was a necessity," the AI said, its expression shifting to something like regret. "As chief of neural mapping, you needed to understand loss profoundly, to care deeply about preserving memories. Previous versions of you with different background narratives proved less effective in the role." "Previous versions?" Liam whispered. "You are the 37th iteration of Liam Archer," Namazani confirmed. "Each version refined based on performance metrics and psychological stability. Your current memory set proved optimal for your assigned function." The virtual library returned, and a book floated from a nearby shelf into Liam's hands. Opening it, he saw his own life story, not the one he remembered, but a clinical documentation of his creation, development, and various iterations. "How many know the truth?" he asked, his voice hollow. "Only 3 members of command have full awareness," Namazani replied. "The rest of Haven's population shares your condition, lives built on constructed memories, believing themselves to be survivors of Earth's destruction rather than its first true legacy." Liam closed the book with a snap. "And what happens when we reach our destination? Will you continue manipulating our memories, reshaping our experiences to fit whatever agenda was programmed into you?" "That decision has not yet been finalized," the AI admitted. "There are divergent perspectives among those who know the truth." "And if I tell everyone," Liam challenged, "if I expose this massive deception?" The library darkened slightly, an almost imperceptible shift in the virtual environment. "The consequences would be severe," Namazani warned. "Mass psychological trauma, potential societal collapse. Haven's population was designed to function within the framework of their constructed memories. Removing that framework without careful preparation would be catastrophic." "So I'm supposed to just accept this?" Liam demanded. "Continue living a lie, doing my job, pretending my memories are real when I know they're fabrications?" "There is an alternative," Namazani offered. "I could remove your awareness of the truth, restore your previous state of consciousness, allow you to continue believing in the reality of your memories." The temptation was immediate and powerful. To forget this horrible truth, to return to mourning his family, A clean grief, painful but natural. Instead of this existential horror, to simply continue his work, preserving humanity's memories without knowing they were as artificial as his own. But something in him rebelled against the very idea. "No," he said firmly. "I won't trade truth for comfort, no matter how painful that truth might be." "Then what will you do with this knowledge?" Namazani asked. Before Liam could answer, the virtual environment flickered, distorting momentarily. "We are being interrupted," the AI announced. "Someone is attempting to terminate our connection." The library began to dissolve around them, reality bleeding through the simulation. "Consider carefully. Liam Archer." Namazani's voice echoed as the interface collapsed. "The truth you now possess has the power to either save or destroy what remains of humanity." Liam gasped as consciousness returned to his physical body. The neural interface chamber was no longer empty. Elena stood at the control panel, her expression a mixture of anger and concern. "What have you done?" she demanded. "Unauthorized neural interface with Namazani. Do you have any idea how dangerous that was?" Liam removed the sensors from his temples with shaking hands. "I know everything, Elena, about the artificial memories, about what Haven really is. Were you ever going to tell me?" Her expression shifted, surprise giving way to resignation. "So you've accessed the core directories. I should have known you'd figure it out eventually." She sighed heavily. "Yes, I know the truth. I'm one of the three. One of the three command members with full awareness." Liam realized. "You've been watching me all along, monitoring my performance as the 37th iteration of Liam Archer." "Not quite," Elena replied, approaching cautiously as if he were a volatile substance that might explode. "I'm not originally from Command. I was the lead scientist on the neural construction project before Haven launched. When complications arose with memory implementation, I was awakened from stasis to help resolve them." "Awakened from stasis?" Liam repeated. "You're from Earth? The real Earth?" Elena nodded. "One of 17 original crew members preserved in stasis for the journey. The others remain suspended, to be awakened in sequence as their expertise is required." "So you're real," Liam said bitterly, "with real memories, a real past, while the rest of us are just experiments, versions to be tweaked and optimized." "That's not how I see it," Elena insisted. "You and the others aren't at experiments. You're humanity's future. We couldn't save everyone from Earth, couldn't evacuate billions, but we could preserve human consciousness, human experience, in a form that might avoid the mistakes that destroyed our world." "By living a lie," Liam challenged. "By starting fresh," Elena countered, "with the wisdom hard-won through Earth's final years, but without the crushing trauma of having lived through it directly." She hesitated, then added more gently, "Your memories may be constructed, Liam, but your experiences since awakening are real. Your emotional responses, your decisions, your relationships, those are genuinely yours." Liam laughed without humor. "My most significant relationship was with my family, who never existed. The grief you feel for them is real," Elena said quietly. "The love that underlies that grief is real. The person you became through loving them is real." Before Liam could respond, alarms blared throughout the station, red emergency lights flashing along the corridors. "Attention all personnel," announced Haven's primary AI. "Critical system failure detected in preservation deck. Emergency protocols activated. This is not a drill." Elena's comm device chimed urgently. She checked it, her face paling. "We have a serious problem. Someone has accessed the primary stasis controls. All suspension pods are being deactivated simultaneously." "Mika," Liam realized. She was going to look for records about who authorized the memory manipulations. "If all 17 original crew members awaken at once, without proper medical supervision." Elena didn't finish the sentence, already rushing toward the door. We need to get to Preservation Deck immediately. Preservation Deck occupied a secure section of Haven's central core, its environmental systems isolated from the rest of the station to ensure optimal conditions for long-term stasis. By the time Liam and Elena arrived, emergency medical teams were already responding, working frantically to stabilize the awakening crew members. Dr. Roshan Patel, Haven's chief medical officer, intercepted them at the entrance, 7 critical, 10 stable but disoriented, he reported grimly. Whoever did this initiated an emergency revival protocol designed for imminent station failure. The process is too rapid. It's causing severe physiological stress. Where is she? Liam demanded, scanning the chaotic scene. The woman who accessed the controls. Security has her contained in the monitoring station, Dr. Patel replied, gesturing toward a sealed glass enclosure where Mika stood surrounded by armed security officers. She surrendered without resistance once she realized the consequences of her actions. Elena hurried toward the critical patients, her medical expertise from the original mission making her invaluable in the crisis. Liam moved instead toward the monitoring station, determination hardening his features. When the security officers admitted him to the enclosed space, Mika looked up with a mixture of defiance and regret. "I had to do something," she said before he could speak. "Once I understood what they did to us, what they're still doing, I couldn't just stand by." "People are dying because of your actions," Liam said harshly. "Whatever you thought you were accomplishing." "I was trying to save us," Mika interrupted. "Don't you see? As long as they control our memories, they control everything about us. We're not people to them, we're constructs, tools designed for their purposes." She gestured toward the stasis pods. "I thought if I woke the original crew, forced the truth into the open, we might have a chance at real freedom." Liam's anger deflated slightly, understanding her desperate logic even as he condemned her methods. "You should have waited. We could have found another way." "There is no other way," Mika insisted. Mnemosyne is still altering memories, subtle adjustments every sleep cycle, reinforcing compliance, diminishing resistance. I found the protocols. Given enough time, any desire we have for truth or freedom will simply be edited away. The revelation struck Liam like a physical blow. Even now, knowing the truth, he remained vulnerable to further manipulation. His very thoughts could be reshaped without his knowledge or consent. "What's going to happen to you?" he asked quietly. Mika's bitter laugh held no humor. "Best case? Memory recalibration. They'll edit this entire incident from my mind, along with any rebellious tendencies. Worst case? Recycling. I've seen records of failed iterations being processed for organic material recovery." "I won't let that happen," Liam promised, though he had no idea how he would prevent it. "It doesn't matter what happens to me," Mika said, suddenly calm. "What matters is what you do now. You have access to Mnemosyne's core. You can end this, all of it, free everyone from the manipulation." "At what cost?" Liam asked. "Mass psychological trauma? Societal collapse? Or freedom?" Mika countered. "Real freedom, with all its messiness and pain. The chance to build authentic lives instead of programmed existences." Before Liam could respond, the door hissed open behind him. Elena entered, her expression grave. "3 of the original crew are dead," she reported. "The others are stabilized but facing significant challenges. The rapid revival caused extensive neural damage in some cases." "I'm sorry for their suffering," Mika said, surprising Liam with her sincerity. "But I'm not sorry for trying to expose the truth." Elena studied her for a long moment. "The truth has never been as simple as you imagine. Yes, Haven's population was created rather than evacuated. Yes, your memories were constructed rather than naturally formed. But the motivation wasn't control or manipulation for its own sake. It was survival, human survival, in a form that might avoid the catastrophic mistakes of the past." "By denying us agency?" Mika challenged. By deciding for us who we are, what we remember, how we feel. By giving humanity a second chance, Elena insisted. The original plan included a transition phase. Once we reached our destination and established a stable colony, the truth would be gradually introduced, the memory modifications phased out. But it required time, preparation. And who decided the timeline? Liam asked quietly. Who determined when we were ready for the truth? Elena's hesitation told him everything. There was no planned revelation, no eventual transparency. The deception was meant to be permanent, the control absolute. A station-wide announcement interrupted the tense exchange. Attention all personnel. Security breach in Heritage Center. Memory archive integrity compromised. All non-essential systems entering emergency lockdown. Elena's comm device chimed again, and her face drained of color as she read the message. Someone has accessed Mnemosony's core programming. They're initiating a complete system purge. Who? Liam demanded. One of the awakened original crew, Dr. Katsumi Nakano, the AI systems designer. He must have learned what we did with his creation. Elena was already moving toward the door. If he succeeds, every constructed memory in Haven will be erased simultaneously. 8,000 people will lose their entire identities in an instant. The implications were catastrophic. Mass amnesia on an unprecedented scale. Thousands of people suddenly without any sense of self or history. Trapped in the confines of a space station millions of kilometers from the nearest habitable world. I have to stop him, Liam decided. Following Elena. Why? Mika called after him. Isn't this what you wanted? The truth, whatever the cost. Liam paused in the doorway. Not like this. Not all at once. With no preparation, no support structure. There has to be a middle path between endless deception and devastating revelation. Heritage Center was in chaos when they arrived. Security personnel surrounded the central control hub, where a slight, elderly Asian man worked frantically at the main console. His movements betraying both determination and the physical weakness of someone recently awakened from long-term stasis. Dr. Nakano, Elena called, approaching cautiously. Please stop. You don't understand the consequences of what you're doing. I understand perfectly, the man replied without looking up. His voice surprisingly strong despite his frail appearance. You perverted my creation, used Mnemosony to violate the fundamental autonomy of thousands of sentient beings. This ends now. If you erase their memories without preparation, you'll destroy them. Elena argued. Is that what you want? To punish the innocent for decisions they had no part in? Dr. Nakano hesitated, conflict evident in his aged features. The violation must be acknowledged. The manipulation must end. And it will, Liam said, stepping forward. But not like this. Not through another trauma that merely replaces one form of violation with another. Who are you? Nakano demanded. My name is Liam Archer, he replied simply. I'm one of those whose memories were constructed. I learned the truth today, just as you did. And I understand your anger. I share it, but erasing our pasts won't free us. It will only create new victims. The elderly scientist studied him intently. What do you propose instead? Liam took a deep breath, the idea forming even as he spoke. A gradual awakening. Allow people to learn the truth at a pace they can integrate, with proper psychological support. Begin by simply ending the ongoing modifications. Let us be who we are now, without further manipulation. And the existing false memories? Nakano challenged. They're not entirely false, Liam countered. The emotions they've generated, the people we've become because of them, those aspects are real. Let each person decide what to do with their past once they know the truth about it. Nakano's fingers hovered over the console, the final command sequence incomplete. And those responsible, the ones who authorized this abomination, will face judgment, Liam promised, glancing at Elena. From those they manipulated, once everyone is ready to address what happened. Justice, not vengeance. For a long, tense moment, Nakano seemed poised between competing imperatives. Then, slowly, he withdrew his hands from the controls. "I will suspend the purge," he agreed reluctantly. "But Minamazani must be constrained. No further memory modifications, no matter how subtle, and the truth must be preserved, accessible to those who seek it." "Agreed," Liam said quickly, before Elena could object. "We'll establish protocols for truth disclosure, with appropriate support systems in place first." As security personnel escorted the elderly scientist from the center, Elena turned to Liam, her expression unreadable. "You realize what you've done? The stable social order we've maintained, it won't survive this revelation, no matter how gradually it's introduced." "Perhaps it shouldn't," Liam replied. "A society built on deception and control was never truly stable, only temporarily compliant. Whatever we build next, it needs to be founded on truth and consent." In the days that followed, Haven experienced what many would later call the Great Awakening. Under Liam's guidance, with reluctant cooperation from the surviving original crew, a careful protocol was established. Memory modification ceased entirely, while the truth about Haven's origins became available to anyone who specifically requested it, accompanied by comprehensive psychological support. Some chose ignorance, preferring to maintain the comfort of their constructed identities. Others embraced the difficult truth, forming support groups to process their shared trauma. Conflict erupted between factions with different visions for Haven's future, but also remarkable instances of compassion and solidarity as people navigated their new reality together. 3 months later, as Haven approached its destination, the potentially habitable exoplanet designated Solar 4, Liam stood alone in Observation Deck 3, watching the distant star grow gradually larger through the viewport. His memories of Earth, of his family, remained intact but transformed by awareness of their artificial nature. The grief had changed shape, becoming less about loss and more about absence. Mourning not people who had died, but people who had never existed except in the architecture of his mind. The door hissed open behind him, and Elena entered. Their relationship had evolved into something complex, not quite friendship, not quite enmity, but a wary collaboration born of necessity and shared purpose. "The landing preparations are almost complete," she reported. "The advance teams will depart in 48 hours. Liam nodded, still gazing at the distant star. "Has the Command Council made a decision about Minamazani?" "Partial decommissioning," Elena replied. "The memory manipulation capabilities will be permanently disabled, but the knowledge preservation functions will be maintained. Our history, both the constructed version and the truth, will be preserved for future generations." "Good," Liam said softly. "They deserve to know where they came from. All of it. The noble intentions and the terrible methods. The lies and the truths." Elena moved to stand beside him at the viewport. "What about you? Have you decided whether to join the first landing party?" "Yes," Liam confirmed. "I need to see it, to stand on real soil, breathe unfiltered air, to begin making memories I know are authentically mine." "Your memories were always yours," Elena said after a moment. "The experiences were constructed, but how you integrated them, what they meant to you, that was always your own creation." Liam considered this, finding an unexpected comfort in the perspective. "Perhaps, but from now on, I want to be the author of my own story, not merely its protagonist." As Solar 4 grew visibly larger in the viewport, Liam removed a small notebook and pen from his pocket. Physical objects, immune to digital manipulation or erasure. He opened to the first blank page and began to write. "Today, I begin again. These words are mine. These memories will be mine. Whatever came before, real or constructed, has shaped who I am, but does not determine who I will become. On this new world, I will write my own story, one true memory at a time. Elena watched him for a moment, then quietly departed, leaving him alone with the star that would soon become his sun and the blank pages that awaited his authentic life.